is Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
The Z team has completed the formation lap. We are locked and loaded and ready for lights out. Welcome to it. This is ZiFM Sport on a Tuesday, Top Hit Tuesday, the lockdown edition. From our homes to the comfort of your homes, you will hear from Barry Manandi, Mike Madoda, Mark Paz, Chris, and Alois Bunjira. My name is Sean Tafirenyika. I'm the producer of ZiFM Sport. I hope you're staying at home and being safe. You know how we do every Tuesday. It's our staple, our Formula One report. I want to talk about the number 10 jersey tonight. I mean, that number 10 jersey on the pitch is the most special. Usually it's reserved for the most creative players who cause utter destruction when they wear that jersey. And it's not just in football, it's in rugby as well. The creative hub of the backline, the player who calls the play, the one who drops in the pocket and may produce a surprise drop goal or two. Yes, I'm talking about the position they call the fly half. Tonight, we're going to be featuring the greatest modern day fly halves. We've got Borden Barrett, Johnny Wilkinson, and the Imperial Dan Carter. Who are some of your favorite fly halves? Get in touch. The handle is at ZiFM Sport on Facebook and Twitter. And while you're thinking of those superb number 10s in rugby, let's hear from Mike, who's got our local sports news roundup.
The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Right, let's get you up to speed with what's happening as far as sports news is concerned on the whole front. But before we actually get into the news proper, we at ZiFM Sport would like to take this opportunity to wish a very happy birthday to arguably Zimbabwe cricket's greatest batsman of all time, the legendary Andy Flower, 52 years old today, and we remember very fondly those reverse sweep shots of which you were renowned, as well as your time as the world's number one batsman. Have a good one, mate, and we hope to see you on these shores sooner rather than later. And fittingly, it is cricket news that's first off the bat. Now, although they're going to face a financial hit, Zimbabwe Cricket have pledged to support health officials' fight against the deadly coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Zimbabwe Cricket will be providing face masks and sanitizers to some of the country's COVID-19 quarantine and isolation centers. The government has called upon corporate world and wealthy individuals to come on board and help the fight against the pandemic, which has brought the entire globe to a standstill. Good move there from Zimbabwe Cricket. Very commendable indeed. Also commendable is news coming out of boxing, where World Boxing Federation middleweight champion Charles Manucci has donated $2,000 to help renowned Bulawayo-based boxing trainer Philip Striker Ndlovu to undergo a transurethral resection of the prostate procedure after being diagnosed with prostate cancer. Ndlovu was diagnosed with prostate cancer in January and is appealing for at least $3,000 to undergo the procedure. The Makokoa-based trainer expressed gratitude to Charles Manucci and remains hopeful more well-wishers will come to his rescue. And we wrap it up with news out of the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League, Zimbabwe's top flight, where Caps United want to regain their Cup Kings tag. Namo Tutisani, the club's vice president, said it was time they go back to winning trophies the way they used to in the past. The Green Machine have invested in about 22 new players for the upcoming season. There are some things which teams are very much known for, he's quoted as saying, for decades our reputation as Makepekepe has not been about winning the league title. Our brand has always been associated with winning cup competitions. Very interesting there from Namo Tutisani, but I wonder if you ask Caps United supporters, what would they rather be? Zimbabwe League champions or Zimbabwe Cup champions, they'll probably tell you league champions is that we're aiming for.
Hi, I'm Trevor Nyakani, the Blue Bulls and Springbok prop, and now you're listening to ZiFM Sports.
The fly half, or outside half, or first 5/8 if you are from New Zealand, orchestrates the attack and the defense of the team. Think of them this way: they are the general, they run the game while keeping the depth of the back. Like I mentioned before, they are the creative hubs of strong rugby teams. Now we've picked 3 of the greatest modern day fly halves. Ben will talk about the man they call Wilco, the magnificent England World Cup winning fly half Johnny Wilkinson. But before that, Chris will feature the speedy New Zealand first 5/8, Gordon Barrett.
He's been described as having devastating speed, a laser-like boot, and smart game management. Beauden Barrett has been in electrifying form in recent seasons in both Super Rugby and his international career. He plays majority of his rugby at fly half, and he's one of the quickest players in the All Blacks and the Hurricanes. His pace allowed him to perform several try-saving tackles on opposition through his international career and become the highest try scorer of any first 5 in rugby history. Barrett is also on the list of leading rugby union test scorers, having scored 36 tries throughout his international career. He's also the co-highest try scorer of any current All Blacks with Ben Smith. He's managed to rack up 649 points in his international career with a 79% goal kicking accuracy. So he came to the attention of national selectors at the age of 19 after he was selected in the New Zealand Sevens team for the final 2 legs of the 2010 IRB Sevens World Series in England and Scotland, and he debuted for Taranaki in the ITM Cup against Northland. The 19-year-old had made such a huge impression in his opening season for the province, especially his ability to attack the line and create space, which saw him named the most promising player of the year. He began to attract a great deal of attention, and in 2011 he accepted an offer from the Hurricanes, turning down an offer from the Blues. He was called up by the Hurricanes before the side's 2011 tour to South Africa, where he saw time off the bench. Between 2012 and 2013, he also celebrated a record-setting display of goal kicking during the Hurricanes' 66-24 win over the Melbourne Rebels. It saw his 21 points break several franchise records previously held by John Preston, including his 1997 mark of 152 points for the season. He found his best form of the season playing majority in the number 10 position, but he was switched to fullback now and then through the season after he showed versatility for the Hurricanes in that position that year. So he returned to international rugby in 2013, being named in the All Black squad for the French tour of New Zealand. In 2014, he signed a contract extension of 2 years with the Hurricanes, and that finished that season scoring 209 points. He got the opportunity to start in the All Blacks number 10 jersey for the first time in his career, playing against Argentina at McLean Park in Napier following an injury to Aaron Cruden. And this despite having a bit of a tough time that night with his goal kicking. He actually got more opportunity to start with the All Blacks at number 10 after Cruden's boozy night out and off the field drama. In 2015, All Black head coach Steve Hansen selected Barrett for the Rugby World Cup, and he scored the final try in the 2015 Rugby World Cup final against Australia. 2016 saw Barrett securing the most individual points that season with 223, and he was the only player in the 2016 Super Rugby season to surpass 200 points. He was named man of the match in the Super Rugby final, scoring 15 points as the Hurricanes beat the Lions 23 to win their first title. Barrett won the award for the Rugby Player of the Year later that year, beating teammate Dane Coles to the award and becoming the next All Blacks player after Dan Carter to win that award. He was selected for the All Blacks 33-man squad to face Manu Samoa and the British and Irish Lions in 2017. His brother Scott and fellow Hurricane Geordie were selected too. This meant that the Barrett family were the first family in history to have 3 siblings selected for the same All Blacks squad. Beauden was named as the All Blacks vice captain for the rest of 2017, replacing Ben Smith, who took a sabbatical leave. He was awarded the Rugby Player of the Year award for the second time time in 2017, beating teammate Rico Ioane to the award, joining former teammates Richie McCaw and Dan Carter to become the third player to win the award on more than one occasion, as well as becoming only the second player to win the award twice in successive years. Following the 2019 Super Rugby season, he re-signed with the New Zealand Rugby through to 2023, also announcing that he would be switching Super Rugby clubs from the Hurricanes to the Auckland-based Blues. He was selected again by Steve Hansen for the 2019 World Cup, his second World Cup, and he played in 5 tests in that competition. And although it ended in disappointment for the All Blacks, he certainly had a good time out. Off the rugby field, he's a keen golfer, spending a great deal of his free time on the golf course. He's also set to become a dad pretty soon. And despite all of his success, he really believes that in rugby, no matter how many accolades you have, no matter how many games you've played, there's always work to be done. With that kind of attitude, Beauden Barrett is set to continue breaking records, but he's already one of the greatest modern fly halves.
Z.
Hi, I'm JC Krill, Springbok and Blue Bulls backline player. You are listening to ZiFM Sports.
When Sir Clive Woodward said before the 2003 World Cup that England would kick their way to the Cup, he wasn't joking, because he knew he had the perfect exponent to execute his plan in Johnny Wilkinson. His full name, Jonathan Peter Wilkinson, born on the 25th of May 1979 in Surrey. He grew up in Farnham and gained a place at University of Durham, but gave up that place in 1997 to become a professional rugby union player with Newcastle Falcons. He played rugby for 12 seasons in the English Premiership with Newcastle Falcons, and in 2009 moved to Toulon in France, where he won 2 Heineken Cups and 1 Top 14 championship in 5 seasons. Heineken Cup, of course, being the equivalent of the Champions League in rugby terms. He started his career at Newcastle School of Rugby as an inside centre, actually, competing for a place with international veterans such as Inga Tuigamala and Alan Tate. He became a fixture in a side that went on to win the 1997-98 Allied Dunbar Premiership title. By March 98, he was in the full England Test squad. Wilkinson began his international career as an unused replacement against Scotland before coming off the bench, replacing Mike Catt to play on the wing against Ireland at Twickenham on the 4th of April 1998. He was only 18 years old. He then participated in England's Tour of Hell in June 1998 that saw them suffer heavy defeats to both the New Zealand All Blacks and Australia. Australia, of course, defeating them 76-0. They were blanked by the Wallabies. Wilkinson returned to domestic duties by taking over from Rob Andrew, who was made Falcons head coach, later director of rugby, as both their fly half and goal kicker. The rest, as they say, is history. Wilkinson became a fixture in the England team and started in all their matches in 1999 Five Nations Championship. Then it was still the Five Nations Championship. It became the Six Nations Championship in the year 2000, and England would win in that year and also in 2000 year. But it is for his role in the 2003 World Cup that he is best known. After topping Pool D in that competition, 4 points ahead of South Africa, England would go on and play Wales in the quarterfinals at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. And Wilco, as he was popularly known, would go on to score 23 points in the 28-17 England victory over Wales. France would be the next opponent in the semi-finals, and the Roses approached with great confidence because they had beaten France twice that year already. Wilkinson would star by scoring all of England's points in a 24-7 victory over France. Glory beckoned as they went on to the final. They were to face the Australian team, the imperious Australian team that had lost a World Cup game 8 years earlier in 1995, and ironically, when they lost that game, it was to England. That day, it was a Rob Andrew second half drop goal that secured victory for the Roses. Little did anyone know that history would repeat itself. The game went to extra time with the scores level at 17-all with 26 seconds remaining. Get that, 26 seconds remaining. Johnny Wilkinson would receive a pass in the hole, look up and slot a sublime drop kick through the post and win the Webb Ellis Trophy. The win gave England its first Rugby World Cup and broke the Southern Hemisphere's dominance of the tournament. Wilkinson became the tournament's leading point scorer with 113 points. He was voted the BBC Sports Personality of the Year and also named the 2003 IRB International Player of the Year. Wilkinson won 91 caps for England. He came back from several injuries and was part of England's team, which reached the final of the 2007 World Cup. South Africa won the Webb Ellis Cup that time in a game where Wilkinson slotted home 2 penalties but missed 2 drop kick attempts. He was one of only 4 players to have started both the 2003 and 2007 Rugby World Cup finals. The other 3 were Phil Vickery, Jason Robinson and Ben Kay. He toured twice with the British and Irish Lions in 2001 to Australia and 2005 to New Zealand, winning 6 caps. He was the holder of various international rugby records, including the fact that England won 67 of the 91 games Wilkinson played in. He scored a record 29th test drop goal against France in the 2008 Six Nations Championship. On the 26th of February 2011, Wilkinson regained the record for the highest tally of international points, overtaking Dan Carter of New Zealand by scoring a penalty against France in a Six Nations match at Twickenham. Carter then reclaimed the record on the 30th of July 2011 in the second 2011 Tri-Nation Series match against South Africa. Wilkinson holds the Rugby World Cup points record of 277 and is the only player to score points in 2 Rugby World Cup finals. Not known for his defensive abilities, but as of 2015, Wilkinson had made more tackles in World Cups than any other back. He retired from rugby after the end of the 2013-2014 season. In 2009, he was awarded an honorary doctorate by the University of Surrey for services to sports industry. While in 2015, he was awarded the Commander of the Order of the British Empire, a CBE. In 2016, he was inducted into the World Rugby Hall of Fame. Wilkinson is currently a studio pundit with ITV Sport, working on their coverage of the Six Nations Championship, Rugby World Cup and other rugby events. Wilco, an officer, a gentleman who kicked England to the World Cup, one of the best to ever do it.
You know, as a Wallabies fan, I have vivid memories of that winning drop goal in the 2003 World Cup final, and Barry describing it again broke my heart. It was utterly devastating, but such was the imperial nature of Johnny Wilkinson, and there's no disputing that he's certainly one of the greatest fly-halves that we've ever seen. The other sports which he played growing up were cricket, basketball and tennis, and Johnny, for his A-levels, he took up biology, chemistry and French, and did well. He gained a place at the University of Durham, but he sacrificed all of that to become a rugby player by profession. He battled for the World Cup and he won. He suffered terrible injuries and he overcame them. Wilkinson was driven by a relentless quest for improvement and the possibility of perfection both on and off the field, but he came close to being perfect. And before we heard about Wilkinson, Chris talked about the man that has devastating pace, as she described him, Beauden Barrett. His teammates call him Bodie, and he was born in New Plymouth and grew up on a dairy farm in a small town in coastal Taranaki in New Zealand. He's got 7 siblings, and we know 2 of them, Geordie and Scott Barrett. But what is it with these farm boys and excelling in sports? Have you ever noticed the trend? Now, with skill, shrewdness, and a deadly killer instinct, these are the 3 qualities that serve as an apt encapsulation of the type of All Black that Beauden Barrett is. It seems that Barrett has every facet of his game down on lock. I mean, his harmonious and scintillating superb game management and personal capability. And don't forget that he can also drop in and play fullback because of that devastating, deceptive, blistering speed and a harsh turn of pace. Keep your messages coming in. I want to get your thoughts on the greatest modern day fly halves. The handle is at ZiFM Sport on Facebook and Twitter. Now remember, we've got around the world in 60 updates from the beautiful game. But let's go to our staple on a Tuesday, the Formula One report.
From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One report. The Formula One report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
These are challenging times, these are trying times, and from all of us at Zimoko, we hope you're staying safe during this worldwide COVID-19 pandemic by staying at home and taking the necessary health precautions to stop the spread of this disease. We'd like to advise all our customers in the essential services providers category during this nationwide lockdown that our Douglas Road passenger and commercial vehicle workshops in Workington and our Borrowdale Service Centre at Sem Levy's Village are open to assist with any essential vehicle services to make sure that their vehicles are kept on the road to fight the pandemic. We are following stringent safety measures to protect our staff and our customers. So for more information, please email inquiries at zimoko.co.zw or simply call us on 754-303, that's 754-303, to speak to one of our service advisors. Stay tuned for more news coming out of Zimoko.
Straight into our Formula One report, and Formula One plans to start the 2020 season in Europe in July are gathering pace with behind closed doors double headers understood to be penciled in for Austria and Silverstone. As discussions continue in the background and Formula One confirmed it is planning to start the season on July the 5th in Austria, Silverstone formally announced that should the British Grand Prix take place, fans will not be in attendance owing to the government's advice on mass gatherings amid the coronavirus crisis. The French Grand Prix meanwhile has been called off from its scheduled June the 28th slot, the 10th event to be postponed or cancelled.
Alright, we also have a special offer running on some of our new vehicle stock. The Mercedes-Benz GLE 400 Coupe, which features a 3-litre V6 petrol engine with a 9G Tronic automatic transmission and full house specification, is available in selenite grey, hyacinth red and cavasite blue. Those colours, ooh. Oh my goodness, lovely. We also have stock of the Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland 3-litre V6 diesel engine in billet silver, velvet red and bright white, as well as the all-new Jeep Compass Trailhawk 2.4-litre petrol. Last but not least, for all those adrenaline thrill seekers out there, we have an incredible special offer on the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8, featuring a 6.4-litre V8 petrol engine. My goodness, this thing has got pace. It reaches a top speed of up to 280 clicks per hour. A super powerful car not to be missed. Now all these vehicles are on special offer while stocks last at an unbeatable price. Please email us at sales@zimoko.co.zw for more information.
Silverstone says it is a great shame that July's British Grand Prix will only be able to take place without fans in attendance, but it is totally optimistic it can help Formula One with its 2020 plans, even if that means back-to-back races. The British Grand Prix is now the second scheduled race on the revised 2020 calendar, following the French Grand Prix's cancellation, with Formula One hoping to start the season in Austria, but any event at Silverstone will have to take place behind closed doors because of the coronavirus restrictions in the UK. Finally, in order to stay connected with our customers, Zimoko have a dedicated business WhatsApp number, 0772 589 624. That's 0772 589 624 for any information you may require on our vehicle products, services and parts. Please follow our Facebook and Instagram pages, Zimoko Zimbabwe. To obtain this number or visit our website at www.zimoko.co.zw. Be sure to stay connected with us on our WhatsApp, social media and our website for special offers and operational information. Stay home together, stay safe Zimbabwe, and together we will get through this.
The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoko, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoko, specialized service for special brands.
Hi, I'm Trevor Nyakani, the Blue Bulls and Springbok prop, and now you're listening to ZiFM Sports.
Let's continue our conversation on the greatest modern day fly halves. We've heard about Gordon Barrett and Johnny Wilkinson. Let's now hear about the imperious Dan Carter from Mike.
New Zealander Dan Carter famous All Black, right up there with the best of them. For me, has got to be the best fly half, the best 5'8", as they call them in New Zealand, who has ever played the game. If you take a look at his list of team and individual honours, this is right up there at the very top of the game. He has been named the International Rugby Board Player of the Year in 2005, 2012 and 2015, equaling the record 3 awards of Richie McCaw, who he played with. And he has won 3 Super Rugby titles with the Canterbury Crusaders and 9 Tri-Nations and Rugby Championships with the All Blacks. That's before we even touch on the World Cups that he has won. 2 World Cups with the All Blacks. Fantastic player, and for me, the best fly half that has played the game. Now, Carter was born in a small town 10 minutes drive from the Carter family home in Southbridge on the South Island of New Zealand to Neville and Bev Carter, and has one older sister, Sarah. From the age of about 5, he played with Southbridge Rugby Club as a halfback, that's a scrum half, and would go on to make representative teams for Ellesmere and Canterbury County. And that's what I love about New Zealand. You know, they get their youngsters playing the game at a very early age. Dan Carter starting to play the game at 5, starting to play as a scrum half, and it perhaps explains his slippery nature. It perhaps explains why he was such a good distributor and a good passer of the ball. There were so many people who say that he had that mind of a scrum half. He was a hybrid of a scrum half, fly half, and a first center. That's how good he was. When you had him in the team, you had the eyes of about 3 players on one man. Really fantastic player. So even as a fly half, his style was more than just about kicking. It was more than just about passing the ball. He could make decisions out there, as good as a decision as any scrum half, as good a decision as any first center. He was able to direct play. He was able, of course, to take the game to the opponent and take matches by the scrum off the neck. Let's go to his domestic career, you know, when it really took off for Daniel Carter. He made his provincial debut for Canterbury in 2002, and then in 2003 he was signed by the Super Rugby side, the Crusaders. Initially playing mainly as a second 5'8", that's of course a first centre. He reached the final of the Super 12 competition with the Crusaders in 2003, 2004, 2005 and 2006. They lost 2003 and 2004, but of course in 2005 Carter then moved to fly half, and from there on he established himself as the best number 10 in world rugby. Staged the guy who was there, of course, Andrew Mertens. We all remember Andrew Mertens. He was a very good kicker, but Daniel Carter was the new hot young thing, and he was absolutely fantastic. His international career, he made his All Blacks debut at the age of 21 in Hamilton, scoring 20 points against Wales. And that's what I love about, you know, young players who are set to scale the heights in whatever sport. They don't need time to make adjustments. They don't need time, you know, to get to learn the ropes. They already have that ability, and for Daniel Carter to score 20 points on his debut and to inspire the All Blacks to a 31-23 win just spoke volumes of the immense talent that he had. He was also a substitute in a match against Australia in Sydney, with the All Blacks 150-21. Carter was then included in New Zealand's 2003 Rugby World Cup squad, where he first gained serious international attention. Carter spent much of the latter stages of the tournament on the bench, leaving New Zealand without a specialist goalkeeper. However, he did play in the games against Italy in Melbourne, which the All Blacks won 70-7, and the wins over Canada and Tonga. Although he has been an All Black since 2003, he only secured a permanent position as the first 5'8", or the first choice fly half in the team during the 2004 tour to the United Kingdom and France, displacing the legendary Carlos Spencer. He had been playing as a second 5'8" up until the end of the 2004 Tri-Nations. So Daniel Carter, it took him a bit of time to convince the coaches, convince the selectors, but he eventually got that number 10 jumper, and for over a decade he made it his own. in the All Blacks squad. And that's the thing with teams like the All Blacks also, that you don't get it easy, because you're not the only good player that they've got. They've got tons of really, really good players. So out of all the legendary names, legendary fly halves in New Zealand rugby, guys that we talk about, Andrew Mertens, Tony Brown, we talk about Carlos Spencer, he was able to upstage them all and cement his place as the best fly half that the game has ever seen. And if you just take a look, at his appearances, he played 112 times for the All Blacks, winning 99 of those games and losing only 12. The win percentage that he had whenever he was in the All Blacks jumper, 88.4. He, of course, scored 29 tries, made 293 conversions, scored 281 penalties, and he had 8 drop goals. His total points tally, 1,598. It's the highest the world has ever seen, and it's a record that's unlikely to be broken. Now, Carter became engaged to his longtime girlfriend and former Black Sticks striker, Hannah Dillon. The Black Sticks, of course, New Zealand's hockey team, in October 2010, and when she was a marketing manager at DB Brewers. The couple then got married in 2011 and have gone on to have 3 children. At the moment, Daniel Carter still playing the game. He's out in Japan, where he's playing for the Kobelco Steelers, and of course it's really a mentorship role that he's played there, making sure that he adds to the growing popularity of the game in Japan.
Daniel Carter. Mike perfectly described his attributes and his immense talent. He's got a documentary out. It's called Dan Carter, A Perfect 10. When Carter saw that film for the first time, he said he was overwhelmed by the number of people who spoke about him and his career. There was a bearded, wise-looking Johnny Wilkinson, Kobe Steelers teammate Adam Ashley Cooper, former All Blacks coach Steve Hansen, teammates Borden Barrett, Richie McCaw. It also featured Wayne Smith and Sir Graham Henry. It also had Robbie Deans. Now, when you have coaches, when you have former teammates, when you have people who played against you, and you have many rugby pundits and fans alike speaking in glowing terms about you, that just serves as reassurance that he's one of the greats. And with Daniel Carter, it's not just he's the greatest fly half. Dan Carter is arguably one of the best rugby players we've ever seen, period. It would be remiss for me not to mention other notable greatest modern day fly halves. Mike mentioned some of them: Andrew Mertens, Tony Brown, Carlos Spencer. You can also add on to that list Puma's legend, Hugo Porter. He was the face of Argentina rugby throughout the 70s and 80s. Wales legend, Jonathan Davis. He had great pace and great acceleration. And then for a decade, from 1984 to his international retirement in 1995, former Wallaby captain Michael Lynagh was one of the most distinguished players in world rugby. And there's also Wales fly half Johnny Sexton, the 2018 World Rugby Player of the Year. I wonder who some of the emerging dominant fly halves are going to be moving forward. The one I can see who's got so much potential is Richie Mo'unga. Maybe he could be the next Dan Carter, who knows? But we'll see how it all goes down. Let's take a break now with our power play.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We'll take off in London, where voting for World Rugby's next chairperson opened yesterday, with incumbent 68-year-old former England captain Bill Beaumont facing competition from ex-Argentina skipper Augustin Pichot. Beaumont or Pichot must claim a majority of the 51 votes to be selected on a 4-year term, with results set to be announced on the 12th of May. Beaumont, who retired 12 years before the sport turned professional in 1995, has campaigned with the promise to open up the sport. Current Vice Chairman Pichot, who hung up his boots in 2009 after a club career in France, liked to see the body modernized and has used the hashtag Global Game on his social media. We head over to Tokyo, where Tokyo 2020 President President Yoshiro Mori has said that the Olympic Games will be scrapped if the event does not take place next year. The International Olympic Committee and the Japanese government last month postponed the Games until July 2021 because of the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. With the epidemic's worldwide infection rate climbing and experts suggesting a vaccine is still a long way off, questions are being asked about whether the huge set-piece event might need to be delayed further. We touched down in New York, where the NBA informed clubs that it plans to allow individual workouts by players at team facilities no sooner than the 8th of May in areas where allowed by government regulations. The league shut down its 2019-2020 season in March after Utah's Rudy Gobert tested positive for the coronavirus, and this marks the first small step towards resuming the campaign, although no timetable for that has been announced. The move comes as several state and local governments have started easing stay-at-home orders on non-essential business activity.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZFM. We are Z-Team on ZFM Sport.
Z.
You're tuned into ZFM Stereo, my station, your station. This is the lockdown edition of ZFM Sport. Remember, you can keep the interaction going at ZFM Sport is the handle. You can look for us by searching for our names: Mike Madoda, Barry Manandi, Chris Gray, Alois Bunjira, Mark Paz, and myself, Sean Tafirenyika. Let's now go to the world of football and get the latest news in the beautiful game.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZFM Sport. The beating drum. The roaring fans. Take a ride on the wild side with the Africa Report on ZFM Sport.
By now, we would have been having a far much clearer picture as to which way glory was beckoning. Wood honours have been heading the way of the Amakhosi, the glamour boys of South African football, Kaizer Chiefs. They were leading the ABSA Premiership by 4 points before the COVID-19 enforced break. Or would it have been going down to Tshwane, Pretoria as we call it, to the Lucas Masterpieces Moripe Stadium in Atteridgeville, home to Mamelodi Sundowns, Cabo Yellow, the Brazilians who have become serial winners in this competition over the last decade. But all that hasn't stopped people talking. Tongues are still wagging as people debate and discuss the styles of play that they witness in the first half of the season. Now, there's a Kaizer Chiefs legend that you might not be aware of. You know, the name Radebe usually leans towards Lucas Radebe, but there's also another Radebe who, of course, covered himself in glory with Kaizer Chiefs, and his name is David Radebe, and he has been expressing some very strong beliefs. He has got a strong dislike for the style of football employed by Ernst Middendorp, as it does not befit a team of Amakhosi's stature. He has come out and said, Radebe says the kind of football Chiefs play these days is not the same as the style the team played under Middendorp during his first stint with the Soweto Giants. Middendorp's direct tactics have not sat well with many Amakhosi supporters this season, but they have certainly achieved results and could still bring the ABSA Premiership title. He's actually quoted as saying, "Hi corner, no. This is not the football we're used to seeing Kaizer Chiefs play." He's quoted by Kickoff magazine. Very interesting, this one, because it's a debate that many people have had in other different leagues as well. I remember when Mourinho was at the peak of his powers, a lot of people debated that too. What do you go for? Do you go for effective football that might not be entertaining but is effective? Because that's what Mourinho brought to the fore when he won the treble with Inter Milan. Remember, he famously beat Barcelona in the semi-finals of that competition. And who was the manager of Barcelona then? It was one Pep Guardiola, the man that we associate with free-flowing, entertaining football. So it's a debate that will be had not just in Europe, it will also be had here in Africa, especially in South Africa, where entertainment has always been at the heart of their game. Idiski, the game they love so much, they love the skill, they love the shibobo, they love that, that kasi flavor. They always want to get the bums on seats, get the fans cheering, get the fans lapping it up. And so when the legends that played in an era that was characterized by entertainment, that was characterized by lots of goals, a deluge of goals, plenty of skill, when they see teams that are functional, when they see teams that are effective, they are not best pleased. And this is where David Radebe is coming from. He said that Kaizer Chiefs, we've always been known for playing swashbuckling, entertaining football. We've always been known as the team that entertains, whether we are playing in Soweto or we are playing in Durban, whether we are playing in Port Elizabeth or we are playing in Limpopo province. Wherever we have gone, we have always wowed spectators with our style of football. And so it's a debate, to be honest. I am increasingly leaning on the side that you can actually entertain, you can actually play swashbuckling football and win at the same time. And Kaizer Chiefs used to do that. So Ernst Middendorp is under pressure, especially if he doesn't end up winning the title. He's got to win the title. That's the only way he can keep his job, and that's the only way he can stave off the critics like David Radebe. That's the only way he can stave off those that are saying, you know what, you're not playing football in keeping with Kaizer Chiefs' famed tradition. So we leave it up to you. What are your thoughts? Get in touch with us on Twitter. Follow and interact with us at ZiFM Sport. On Facebook as well. Would love to hear from you. What do you go for? What do you pick? Do you go for free-flowing football, or do you go for effective winning football? Or do you try and strike a balance?
Z. The Nerazzurri. The Black and Blues, Inter Milan.
It's Romelu Lukaku, and it was never in doubt. He's a beast at the best of times, but this season he has become a monster.
The Giallorossi, the Yellow and Reds, AS Roma.
Velotti has a go! Tremendous hits! That's what he's capable of.
La Viola, the Purple Ones, Fiorentina.
Brock Ribery seals a glorious win for Fiorentina with a sumptuous goal at San Siro.
The Bianconeri, the Black and Whites, Juventus.
Ronaldo seals yet another 3 points for Juventus.
Tough yet colourful. The best of Italian football on Z.
In Italy, Inter star Lautaro Martinez should reject a move to Barcelona, as he would be a substitute at the La Liga champions, according to Fabio Capello. Martinez is reportedly Barca's prime transfer target, as the Spanish Giants look to sign a long-term replacement for veteran forward Luis Suarez. Also linked to Real Madrid and Manchester City, Martinez had scored 16 goals in 31 games across all comps before the coronavirus pandemic brought to a standstill all sport. But former Madrid, Milan and Juventus head coach Capello urged the Argentine international to remain at Inter. Now, as a fan, I'm going to say he mustn't remain at Inter, because we all want to see him at Barcelona. Because can you imagine if he were to play in a front line including Messi, Suarez and him, Lautaro Martinez? Better still, if Barcelona is to complete the signing of Neymar and also get Lautaro Martinez, it'll mean that they'll have a selection of the four up front, which is astounding. And I think all clubs have accepted the fact that to compete on all fronts in any competition, particularly for Barcelona as pertains the Champions League, which is the one they really want, you have to have a deep squad, and so squad depth is playing a very important role in all of these squads. So I think that'll come into the decision making. But the biggest of them all, now I'm speaking as a pundit, that's me as a fan, as a pundit, you've got to consider the fact that the coronavirus pandemic is going to take a financial strain on all football clubs. They're all going to take a financial hit, and chances are they're going to be a little more prudent in the transfer market. So this deal becomes a little less possible because of the 101 million euro release clause on Lautaro Martinez's contract, and Inter apparently is unwilling to accept anything less amid the reported interest from Barcelona. So you got to think to yourself that this transfer is going to be difficult at best. or else may be delayed for some time while Barcelona actually recover from this COVID pandemic strain that their finances are going to be under. However, stranger things have happened. It may still go through, and for me as a football fan, I'm certainly hoping that it does go through. Barcelona needs to have Lautaro Martinez in their lineup. In terms of the logistics and operational framework for it, I think is already done, because you got to think that Messi has already made contact with Martinez and told him how good it is at Barcelona and how good it would be for him to join Barcelona. Let's keep an eye on this one, and we'll certainly do that here on ZiFM Sport.
Z. All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back he is, Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
Arsenal have been offered the opportunity to sign Chelsea winger Willian when he leaves Stamford Bridge at the end of the season, according to reports. The Gunners have reportedly been offered the chance to bring in the Brazilian as a cut-price replacement for captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. But the Sun claim that while the player has been offered, the North London club are balking at his contract demands. Yeah, the 31-year-old is said to be demanding a 3-year deal which matches his current £120,000 a week salary in West London. But Arsenal are against signing off a long-term deal for a player who will be 32 in August. However, the former Shakhtar Donetsk winger's agent Kia has held an increasing degree of sway at the Emirates over the past year. Kia also represents technical director Edu and was heavily involved in the Gunners bringing in of David Luiz last summer and Cedric Soares in January. William has reportedly already rejected an offer of a 2-year deal from Chelsea and is also interested in both Liverpool and Inter Milan, but the Brazilian could become an appealing option for the Gunners boss Mikel Arteta, who is reportedly increasingly resigned to losing Aubameyang in the summer. The Ghana international is yet to agree a new deal at the Emirates despite having just over a year left on his contract. Interesting times really at the Emirates, interesting times at Arsenal. But when I look at the situation of Arsenal, Pierre Aubameyang, Willian, I would rather they make a combination. I would rather they make a leader pair up front for Arsenal. He can actually complement, I'm talking about William, that is, he can actually complement Aubameyang. Like I have always told people, I've always said, when you want to be a big team, you really need to dig deep. So at this point in time, I think Arsenal, if they really want to do something, if they want to really challenge for owners in England, they need to dig deep into their purse. They can't be losing players like your Pierre Aubameyang. They need to actually make sure that he stays. So they need to dig deep. Keep him, then bring in William. William is a winger, while Pierre Aubameyang is actually, he can play as a winger, yes, but Pierre Aubameyang is leader when he's playing from the middle of the attack. So they need to keep them together and make a leader combination of the two so that they can actually form a potent strike force in the English Premiership to actually fight for owners in England. So they don't need to release Pierre Aubameyang. They need to bring William so that he can actually add the firepower up front for them. £120,000, that's not a lot of money. When you look at the quality of the Brazilian, when you look at him at Chelsea, what he has brought, what he can bring to Arsenal, £120,000, I actually think that is actually on the cheap side when you look at his quality. Never mind that he's 31 years old, he's going to be turning 32. But when you look at a player, you don't just look at his passport and look at his date of birth. You need to look at his physique, you need to look at his endurance, you need to look at what he can do, his ability, and you need to look at him at the particular time. What can he bring to Chelsea for the next 2-3 years? He is such a fantastic player. He doesn't look like those fat, big, old 32-year-olds that we see in some other players. He is actually petite, he is agile, he is small in stature, he is solid. He looks actually like a 25-year-old, and I think he is still playing like a 25-year-old. So he still has 3, 4 years, 5 years in him. So I would rather Arsenal keep him, Get him. £120,000 per week, I actually think it's a bargain. Even a three-year deal is still a bargain. He can do a lot at Arsenal. So I'm not sure why they're balking at that, because honestly speaking, it's just 3 years. £120,000 is on the cheap side. Like I said, get William, get your team strong. You want to challenge for owners, that's the right player to actually get. So Mikel Arteta, if I was him, I would push for the signing of William, at the same time making sure that Pierre Aubameyang also stays, so that they can actually have a very, very good team to fight for championship, to fight for owners in the EPL, and be a big team. And like I said, I'll repeat again, when you want to be a big team in the English Premier Soccer League, you have to spend, you have to make sure that you pay your players well, you have to make sure that you bring top players to the club. What's the use of bringing Pierre Aubameyang 3 years ago and let him go again? It doesn't work, because they haven't won anything with him. They need to keep him so that they can bring other players, good players around him, and win things. This is what they need to do. William is a very good signing. They need to fight off interest from Liverpool, fight off interest from Inter Milan, fight off interest from Chelsea themselves, because Chelsea might change their mind and try to hold on to him. He has rejected an offer. They might put in more money. He has rejected. So they need to fight off that competition and make sure that they get him. When I look at William, I actually think that he is a perfect fit for Arsenal.
Z. Horsepower unmatched. Torque to beat the best. Speed unrivaled. Sleek and easy on the eye. Let's get behind the wheel of football engineered to perfection. The Bundesliga, made in Germany.
Canada international Alphonso Davies is confident his Bayern Munich side will be mentally and physically set to continue their push for the Bundesliga if action resumes in the German top flight. The Bundesliga is hopeful of being the first major European league to resume after it was paused due to the coronavirus pandemic. League chiefs are aiming for a return to action in May, but the plans are yet to receive a green light from the German government. So Bayern Munich returned to training on the 6th of April, and Davies said it was like going back to school again, but with the squad practicing social distancing and groups kept small. There wasn't any high fives or any fist bumps. There were actual protocols that were explained to the players via their WhatsApp group chat, with physical contact supposed to be kept to an absolute minimum. He was talking via a virtual news conference, and he's enjoyed a breakout season in which he's managed to establish himself as the club's starting left back. With the players waiting to see if the league resumes, he also said that they're focusing primarily on their training rather than discussions around what it'll take to get the Bundesliga back in action. If it resumes, then Bayern Munich find themselves 4 points clear at the top of the league with 9 matches left. Now, 4 points is not necessarily a great cushion. Borussia Dortmund are just as hungry to win the Bundesliga, and it's still well within their reach with the 9 games to go.
Z. The league that makes football oh so beautiful, where artistry and strokes of genius are the order of any day. Where the game is played with a smile and the little master creates his magic.
It's Lionel Messi!
All the news from the Spanish La Liga on ZiFM Sport.
The goal the world wants it!
To La Liga, where Sevilla coach Julen Lopetegui has warned La Liga that clubs will need at least 5 weeks' notice to prepare for a return to action following the suspension caused by the coronavirus pandemic. La Liga has been on hiatus since early March due to COVID-19, which has been contracted by more people in Spain, almost 230,000, than any other country in Europe.
Z.
That's it on a Top Hit Tuesday on ZiFM Sport. We'll be back tomorrow for Wacky Wednesday. Don't miss it. Until then, stay safe.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.